On the early morning of October 31st, 2021, tragedy struck in Midlothian, Illinois, when 19-year-old Morgan Brown, a recent cosmetology school graduate with a promising future, was shot and killed outside the Esbian Live Bar and Grill. Morgan and her friends had gone out to enjoy a Halloween night when they were approached by a man, later identified as 25-year-old Jamil Hayes, who asked Morgan for her phone number. When she politely declined, Hayes became enraged and opened fire, shooting Morgan in the chest and injuring one of her friends. Police officers who were nearby heard the gunshots and rushed to the scene. They found Morgan and her friend critically wounded and immediately transported them to Christ Hospital, where Morgan tragically succumbed to her injuries. Through a swift investigation led by the Midlothian Police Department, with help from the South Suburban Major Crimes Task Force and the FBI Fugitive Warrants Team, Hayes was quickly identified as the suspect. A nationwide arrest warrant was issued, and in March 2022, Hayes was captured and charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder. While Morgan's family finally saw her killer brought into custody, their fight for justice continues, as court delays have left them waiting for a conviction nearly 3 years later. This is her story. For 19 short years, Morgan Brown lived a life filled with light, purpose, and promise. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend, and a dreamer. To her family, Morgan was the heartbeat of their home, the young woman whose laughter could melt tension and whose quiet determination inspired everyone around her. Morgan grew up in a close-knit family, surrounded by love, faith, and guidance. Her parents, David and Kelly Brown, raised her with discipline and care, teaching her values that shaped her into a respectful, grounded young woman. Morgan wasn't just a good kid. She was the kind of person who made you proud to know her. She kept to herself, stayed out of trouble, and lived life with grace and kindness. From an early age, Morgan discovered a passion that would eventually define her path: hairstyling. What began as playful afternoons braiding her doll's hair soon became a clear and unwavering dream. She practiced endlessly on family, friends, anyone willing to sit in her chair. Each braid, twist, and part wasn't just about beauty. It was about creating confidence and connection. Her natural talent didn't go unnoticed. By the time she graduated from the John Amico School of Hair Design, she had already begun building a future for herself. Her work was crisp, clean, and flawless. Every hairstyle a testament to her skill. Morgan wasn't chasing fame or clout. She was building a career with her hands, her heart, and her vision. On October 19, 2021, Morgan proudly introduced herself to the world as a professional hairstylist through a Facebook post. "Hey y'all, my name is Morgan. I just graduated from cosmetology school. I do braids, locks, natural hair, color, cuts, and more. I'll be opening my books on November 9th. Follow me and book your appointments." It wasn't just a post, it was her announcement to the world that her dreams were coming to life. And her clients responded quickly. Morgan's November calendar was already filling up. She was on the brink of everything she had worked for. Morgan was also a loving big sister, deeply bonded to her younger sister, Alyssa. The two were inseparable, sisters and best friends, their memories captured in countless photos of shared laughter and inside jokes. Alyssa looked up to Morgan, not just as a sibling, but as her role model. That October, as Morgan prepared for her next chapter, she decided to take a well-deserved night off to enjoy Halloween with friends. It was supposed to be one last carefree evening before the grind of full-time work began. She and her friends headed to Esbian Live Bar and Grill in Midlothian, Illinois, a night filled with music, dancing, and joy. But by the time the sun rose, everything had changed. As the group was leaving the club, Morgan was approached by a man she didn't know. He asked for her phone number. Morgan, always polite and respectful, declined. That simple act, a young woman saying no, should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. The man's fragile ego couldn't handle rejection. Instead of walking away, he responded with violence. In an act of senseless rage, he pulled out a gun and shot Morgan in the chest. He then attacked her friend, pistol whipping her before shooting her multiple times in the arm and leg. Panic erupted as people screamed and scattered. Morgan's friends rushed to her side, desperately trying to keep her conscious while waiting for help. Both Morgan and her friend were rushed to Christ Hospital, but only one of them survived. On October 31st, 2021, at just 19 years old, Morgan Brown took her last breath. The vibrant young woman who had just opened her appointment book, who had a future of creativity and independence ahead of her, never got the chance to take her first full-time client. Her family's world shattered that night. Her mother, Kelly, was forced to do what no parent should ever have to: bury her child. On November 13th, 2021, Morgan was laid to rest in a beautiful ceremony filled with grief and love. White doves were released into the sky as her family whispered tearful goodbyes. Her father, David, spoke through his heartbreak. Morgan was a beautiful, happy, and easygoing young woman. She had just graduated from cosmetology school and was beginning her dream career. A parent's worst nightmare is to bury their child, and now we live that nightmare every day. Her sister lost her best friend, and we lost our baby girl. As Morgan's loved ones mourned, they also fought for justice. Together with the Midlothian Police Department and the FBI, they raised a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of the person responsible. Kelly, through tears, pleaded publicly for help. "Please, if you know anything about who did this to my daughter, come forward. We need justice for Morgan. We need to make the world just a little bit safer for our young people." In March 2022, more than 4 painful months later, an arrest was finally made, and the 25-year-old Jamil Hayes, the man who took Morgan's life, was charged with first-degree murder and attempted murder. But even with an arrest, Morgan's family was left in limbo. Nearly 3 years later, the case continues to crawl through the court system, delayed by backlogs and procedural setbacks. There has been no conviction, no closure. Just an unbearable silence where Morgan's laughter used to be. Morgan should have been thriving today. She should have been running her own salon, celebrating holidays with her family, planning vacations, and living the messy, beautiful freedom of young adulthood. Instead, her mother's arms ache to hold her, her sister cries over photos of better days, and her father carries the crushing weight of a promise he couldn't keep: to always protect his little girl. Morgan's story is not just a tragedy, it's a reflection of a dangerous pattern. Women are being murdered simply for saying no. Morgan did everything right. She was respectful, she was careful, and she was simply trying to go home. But her voice, her choice, and her future were silenced by someone who couldn't accept rejection. Her chair remains empty. Her appointment book, once filled with hope, now sits unopened. Morgan Brown will never be forgotten. Her memory lives on through her family, her friends, and the countless people who have been touched by her story. May she rest in peace, and may her name be a reminder that women deserve to live, to dream, and to say no, without fear of losing their lives.